But I want to finish off this Jason Aldean story with a reaction to our lovely ladies that we know and love over at The View. So I'm going to react to their little clip that they did regarding the Jason Aldean video and song. And I'm gonna tear this apart. I got to be honest. It kind of made me really mad, and so I'm gonna tear this apart. Let's get on to it. Okay, there's Whoopi Goldberg, everybody. All right, let's get right in.
Listen, you know, there are lyrics in the song, and I think, you know, he talks about life in a small town, and it's different, you know, and he shows these images. He's got folks from the Black Lives Matter movement, and he's talking about people taking care of each other. And I find it so interesting that never occurred to Jason or the writers that that's what these folks were doing. They were taking care of the people in their town because they didn't like what they saw. Just like you talk about people taking care of each other in small towns. We do this.
Wait. So literally Whoopi Goldberg right here is trying to say that the rioting, the looting, the violence that happened at things like the BLM riots back in 2020, the Summer of Love, as they called it, the mostly peaceful protest, that was them taking care of their communities. You just heard with my conversation with AJ. They were burning down businesses in their own communities. There were businesses that were burned down by Black Lives Matter that were owned by black business owners. That's taking care of a community, Whoopi. I'd say stick to comedy, but you're not even funny. So the funniest thing about you is just how jaded you are on this issue. Kind of a moron about it, but let's keep going.
The same thing in big towns. You just have to realize that when you make it about Black Lives Matter, people kind of say, well, are you talking about black people? What are you talking about here? If we're talking about Americans taking care of each other, then it shouldn't be about Black Lives Matter. You should be able to show all the different things that have gone on in our country where people stood up and said no more. We do the same thing that small towns do. That's my...
Once again, too, the song never references Black Lives Matter directly. The video shows videos from riots and news clippings from riots that were affiliated with Black Lives Matter. Once again, how is this taking care of anybody? It's beyond me. Maybe I'm just too stupid to understand the genius and wisdom of God King Whoopi Goldberg, but I don't get it. I don't get it.
2 cents to that.
So this was, I'm sorry. This was to me something where about half the people in my life see it one way and half the people in my life see it a different way. So I'm trying to kind of see what are we disconnecting on. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that his intent wasn't to, stoke division, glorify violence or racism. I'm going to give him that benefit.
You don't have to give him the benefit of the doubt. I guess he probably appreciates it. I appreciate it. But you can read his tweet where he literally says that he did not intend for that. But okay.
The doubt, I don't know. But I'll say this. There was a line. So for the many folks who are offended by this, there's a line in it that says, try that in a small town, see how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. So for a lot of my friends and family who are legal gun owners in small communities, they're like, yeah, that's what we do if someone breaks into a store. He's talking about the right to defend yourself. What I thought of when I read that was Ahmaud Arbery. I think of a black man in a small town in the South who literally just got shot for doing nothing wrong.
That's because you're indoctrinated by the media that makes it sound like that happens all the time, when statistically it's very, very unlikely to happen. And when it does happen, it makes national headlines because it is uncommon. So you can have that interpretation. You have every right to have an interpretation that is far and few between. And when I say far and few between, I mean that the idea of what you had when you read that doesn't happen as much as you think it does. You're allowed to have that, but that's not, again, you're also not the intended audience. It's try that in a small town. The people that you know, whatever your name is, I don't know this lady's name, View host number 2, the people that you know from the small towns, those are the ones that this is intended for. It's not intended for your suburban or city lifestyle white mom. Any race, doesn't matter. Like that's not who it's really intended for. You're not the main demographic of country music, but I digress.
So I think what becomes problematic is that there's a lack of recognition of what this means to about 50% of the country whose experience isn't Jason Aldean's. I like him. I've always liked his music. I'm kind of a country gal about like a quarter of the time. But this is also for the folks on the right who are defending this. They see the BLM riots, I think many can acknowledge protests and riots.
Who I don't know who it was. I think it was Joy Behar. Just goes, protests. You gotta call it protests. It's not riots. And then she's like, no, it kind of was riots. She's like, I think this is one of the more conservative hosts, which basically just means that she'll like still agree with everybody else, but she'll like recognize that there is another opinion, which good for her, I guess. But oh my God.
George Floyd's death and murder was evil. It was wrong. It was unacceptable.
Murder. I don't know. Maybe. He had a lot of fentanyl in his system. Maybe murder. I don't know.
But so was the killing of someone like David Dorn, a Black retired police officer who was defending his friend's store and was shot during the riots and aftermath of that movement. So I think if people of good faith can see both sides, they can see there is an issue with this song because of what it means to a lot of communities, but there is an issue of violence, of looting, of rioting.
Yes, but why are you linking it to Black people?
Well, that's
no one is linking it to Black people except for you, Whoopi. It's not just Black people. No conservative, no Jason Aldean, Brittany Aldean, no one related to this song or who supports it is like, yep, that's about Black people. No, the only people that are focusing on that are people like you, Whoopi, are people like you that watched it and again, never once mentions race and goes, this is about Black people. Who's the racist? Let's play a game. It's called Who's the Racist? Let me know in the comments who's the racist, because here's what's going on is you have a guy who wrote a song, never once mentions race, calls out criminal behavior and promotes community, and yes, is in some ways pro-gun. Now, is he the racist? Or is it the one who saw a music video that uses real news clips of a lot of people of multiple races committing crimes, but then they say, this is racism. This is about Black people. Who's the racist, everybody? Jason Aldean or Whoopi Goldberg? Let me know in the comments right now.
Yeah, but that's the issue.
That's the issue. The imagery is what becomes very problematic.
You can sing, but you know, there's a lot wrong here with this. This is a man who saw what happens when someone is out of control with their guns.
Yeah,
he was performing in Vegas, and he saw people get. So I don't understand how he could be that disconnected. How people around him didn't say to him, hey, listen, you know what? Maybe there's a better way to do this because...
When the imagery invoked race, that's what was...
There's no reason...
How did the imagery invoke race? It only invokes race if that's what you see. If that's the first thing you think of when you think of crime, who's the racist? Again, it's just insanity.
To separate big city people from small town people. That to me is the divisive part of this song. I mean, it's a deplorable song and it's annoying. Got a gun.
It's a deplorable song, everybody. That's a dog whistle right there if I've ever heard one. I mean, that's basically saying Trump supporters, conservatives, Republicans, you should love this song because she's calling it deplorable, flipping. Oh my God, Joy Behar. Ugh.
And my granddad gave me, they say one day they're going to round up. Well, that S might fly in the city. Good luck. It's very divisive and provocative, but I defend his right to do this video.
Absolutely.
That's, oh my God, that's a little bit of virtue signaling there. But the other thing too is, yeah, I guess you could call it divisive for recognizing that there's a difference between cities and small towns and the culture in them. I mean, like, heck, I live in Illinois. Chicago and some of the suburban counties around it, very, very Democrat, very dark blue. The rest of the state, for the most part, given there are a few counties that have a little bit higher population or a little bit more urban. The majority of the rest of Illinois is a red state. It's full of small towns. That's just a political divide in and of itself. There's also divides of culture. I can tell you country music is a lot more popular in the rural areas than the urban. Like there's basically what she's saying is, so there's a song that is written for primarily rural communities. It's about living in a small town. And you're mad because it's not inclusive of city people? I don't know what do you want? What do you want from these are people that don't listen to country music, because if you listen to country music, it's about a lot of it, small towns, living in it, being pro-America, God-fearing, a lot of it, God-fearing, patriotic, loving, having a good time in the summer, driving on a dirt road. Like, Jason Aldean has another song called Dirt Road Anthem. How many dirt roads do you know that are in the streets? Is Michigan Avenue a dirt road? No. Is Pennsylvania Avenue, DC, is that a dirt road? Sunset Boulevard, dirt road? No. So is that song divisive because it doesn't talk about blacktop pavement? Wackos.
Because they can't censor me, they shouldn't censor him either. But he has to understand that the big cities are supporting the small towns. Blue counties are responsible for 70% of America's economy. The big cities are really providing the things that you have in these small towns. You should not.
Really? The food on your table, the crops that go into making like 90% of the things in our grocery stores, like whether or not it's the crop itself or they use the crop for something else, are the cities not appreciating small towns? That's the thing is Joy and these others are not recognizing that actually urban areas and rural communities in a way work together. However, a lot of times urban areas leech off the profit and everything that goes on in these small towns, while the small towns tend not to have as much development. I mean, Illinois, our governor focuses like entirely on Chicago, couldn't give less of a crap about our agriculture, which is what makes up a significant amount of the Illinois economy. But okay, she's trying to frame it as if rural communities just leech off and don't do anything for the urban ones. Okay, city gal.
Not be against big cities.
Yeah, but okay, so when I first heard the title before I heard the song, I kind of thought, oh, great, a small town song, like, because I am from a small town in Iowa. I understand the pride and the differentiation between towns and rural communities and the cities, because you're not thought of very highly in this country, never have. Like, when you come out here, I was always that girl from Iowa.
Mhm.
Understandably, I claim it proudly. But the point is that we have—
What's wrong with saying that girl from Iowa?
No, they weren't saying it in a way. They're like, oh, she doesn't get it. It's from Iowa. You know, the point is—
Okay, Joy is playing the fool right now. She's playing the fool. She knows. I grew up in the suburbs, right? I love living near the country a lot more and in more rural area than where I grew up. But Joy is playing idiot, because even growing up where I did in the suburbs, it was kind of implicitly pushed that anybody who has a slight Southern twang in their voice or grew up in a rural area is for whatever reason dumb or anything. They're not. Obviously, they're not. But it's implied in the urban and suburban areas. It is. And that's what this host in the green is saying. And Joy is like, oh, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? No, Joy, you push the same thing when you say that this song is deplorable. Because the people that, a lot of them in these small towns, love this song because they actually get what it means, because it was made for them.
Yes, we have a simple life. It's about family. It's about church. It's about community. Big cities have that too.
The same exact
Yeah,
way.
Well, let me
that's
finish my
her
point.
point.
Big cities have the same thing. I had that in my own area in
You do
Brooklyn.
not have the same exact life, Joy. You do not have the same exact life. Period. There is such a huge difference between living in a rural and urban area, especially right now.
Brooklyn is not exactly Iowa. But my point is, coming from a small town, when a lot of people don't leave those towns, I understood the community part. The problem is you can never say, see how far you make it down the road without knowing the history of this country.
Mhm.
And it
What? No, you can say it without knowing the history of this country, because it's just like it's a moderately veiled threat that's just like, if you mess with me, I will defend myself. That's what it says. See how far you make it down the road. Mess with me and see what happens. F around and find out. All different ways to say it. Has no racial implication unless you make it have a racial implication. Where are these people? These people, honestly, the View hosts, at least based on this interview, are some of the most racist people in the country. Period. Full
It
stop.
wasn't just Jason Aldean because he didn't write the song, he did perform it. But there's a lot of like checks and balances when you're putting out an album.
Right.
You're going to be touring, you're going to be performing it. I also say shame on every person that could have caught it along the way to say
Yeah.
there are problems here with this song. And maybe the biggest thing he should do right now is listen. When you want empathy, like even Gretchen, the governor said, well, people need to just listen. They're coming after him. If you want people to empathize with your side, or your take or your interpretation, you need to stop, and he should open his ears, because maybe he doesn't consciously realize why a lot of people are not okay with this song. And he should really listen to that.
I'm actually not going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Now, this is where it gets, spicy.
And I'm pleased that you are, and
Well,
I'm pleased that you
do
are.
agree that he should be allowed to say whatever he
Because
wants.
as a lawyer, when I put my legal hat on,
Yeah, okay.
I don't believe in censorship.
As a lawyer, it doesn't look like you're practicing right now. As a lawyer, okay.
Right.
However, this man is from Macon, Georgia. My father's from Augusta, Georgia, and Macon, Georgia. I spent many summers there. Yeah, both. I spent many summers there. It is one of the most racist places in this country.
False. Or, if it is true, explain this then, Sonny. Her name's Sonny. Explain this, Sonny. Okay, so I looked up the based on the census, the current demographic makeup of Macon, Georgia. One, it's not really a small town, so that's kind of an interesting thing about Jason. He's from Macon, Georgia, apparently. Not really a small town, like a population of like 90 to 100,000, if not more. But the current demographic makeup for what Sonny says is the most racist place in this country, 54.28% Black or African American, 39.28% white, 3% two or more races, 2% Asian. So the place that, according to Sonny, is the most racist place, or one of the most racist places in this country, 54% Black. Let's let her keep going and see what other dumb crap she says.
So don't tell me that he knew nothing about what that imagery meant and what he. So I don't give him the benefit.
But I'm saying, along with him, more people should also be
The other
held
thing
accountable.
is that what was evoked for me, which was
No one cares.
You're not going to get out of this town, are those sundown
don't let the sun
areas
go down on your
because
ass.
there were times when Black people, my mother's in the audience today. Thank you for coming. And my mother and father, because they were an interracial couple, were run out of South Carolina by the KKK. And my father is still scarred from that experience, and you are still scarred from that experience. So
We're
don't
all
tell,
still scarred from that experience.
So don't tell me that not only was he aware of what he was doing by using that imagery, he embraces that imagery. And unfortunately, this became the #1 song on US iTunes. We have a problem in this country about race, and the biggest problem.
The only people making this about race are you, Sonny. I'm done with this interview, but here's the thing I want to point out. Okay, so you have two sides of the left right here. You have like everybody first, Whoopi, this girl, Joy, the one in the green, and then you have this one. And so everybody first, and then Sonny, and they're both an interesting side of the left. So the first thing about it, so the first side, which is like everybody besides Sonny, is saying, oh, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt, but then we have to make sure he listens so he understands where he went wrong. Okay, that's the re-education side. Those are the ones that are like, okay, I'm open to other opinions, but you need to listen to me and then realize you're wrong. That's what that side of the left does. The other side of the left, which is Sonny, is they will never be good enough. They will always be wrong. They are the problem, and we just can't tolerate it. Both stem from Marxist thought. Sonny a lot more, though. It's kind of like you have the first few that are socialists, where it's like, oh, well, like we need to be kind and empathetic, but still throw them in the gulag. As Sonny is like, nope, still throw them in the gulag. No compassion, no empathy, no kindness. And those are the two sides of the left. So no matter how good you thought any of those hosts were, they all want to re-educate, and none of them understand what the song is actually about. None of them. because they don't know truly what that means. I think that there's some that might get an inkling of it. And maybe the one in the green and that one and the one in the beginning that said she was from or that she had friends on both sides of it. Maybe they can like understand it. They're too afraid to actually speak out. But either way, that's the two sides of the left right there for you and how they want to treat conservatives. Just saying. Everybody, God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like anything I had to say, please like, subscribe, and share. And there's going to be some videos coming up on the side. Please click on one of those. See what you like. See what you don't like. Let me know in the comments. Either way, thank you so much for watching. And God bless you and have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you Sunday for my radio show. Ooh, got a lot going on for that one, everybody. I'm very excited. God bless you. God bless America. And thank you for watching Speechless, The Daily Show.